We are live. Week one is almost in the books. We have one game left, but one of my favorite shows of the week kicks off right now. That's where we review everything that we saw yesterday. And then, of course, look forward to tonight's Monday night game. I got my guy Tyler with me and JC Zargo at Daddy Zargs on X/Twitter is going to be joining us this year for the Monday reviews. Let's start with you, JC. Good to see you. It's been a little while since we've talked.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. Great to see you. Excited, man. I'm so excited for football to be back. Love watching it. Love talking about it. It's a wonderful time of year, I must say.
All right. Yeah. My background's not perfect, but as you can see, I was in Las Vegas for week one. I was trying to get the Raiders Stadium in there. There it is. There's our little Raiders Stadium, Allegiant Stadium, looking sharp in the background. Tyler, pretty great weekend overall for our picks. Not so great weekend for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How you feeling today?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad week one. The Steelers didn't look all that good, but in the end, I mean, we couldn't be the worst feeling fan base after that Sunday night showing. I think the Giants are in a little worse shape than us, but after all the preseason hype, the Steelers didn't look all that good, but we were able to make some money yesterday, so it was a good day in week one.
Yeah, lost some money on the Giants, but gained some sleep as I left the Bellagio Sportsbook with about at 26-0 in the second quarter, and was asleep before the game started, catching up on those nights that I missed before. I see Jonathan Nelson in the chat. Boy, disappointing day for him and the Vikings, and my guy DB Gnarly. Of course, he's disappointed in his Texans. But let's dive right in. Let's look at that schedule from yesterday, go over the scores. Well, you know what? We'll start with the Thursday night game because we haven't really spoken about it, right? Because we missed the Sunday morning show. Sorry, guys. There was just no way I was waking up that early while I was here. But we'll be back on the Sundays from here on out because I don't think I have any more trips planned. But the first game of the week or the season was the Lions defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. And wow, Kadarius Toney, more drops than a electro set there, right? I mean, you talk about dropping the base. Kadarius Toney was dropping the base. JC, let's start with you. What are your thoughts, man? I thought Mahomes was so good that he could get it done, and he could have got it done if his receivers could have brought some of those balls. And looks like they missed Kelsey more than I thought. Hopefully they bring back Chris Jones soon. What were your thoughts from the opening game on Thursday night? It feels so long ago. It feels like a year ago.
It really does, man. It really does. Man, from a betting perspective, I just stayed away. It felt like a complete trap game. Just seeing how short the spread was, I didn't really want to touch it. I knew the Lions were going to be good this year. I honestly didn't think they'd win outright. They were very impressive. I mean, the other thing too, man, is I don't know what the record is, but these teams coming off a championship playing in that first Thursday night game do not have the best record. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about if you're a Chiefs fan. You still got Mahomes. Once you get Kelsey back, you'll be fine. I also don't think this is indicative of what we'll see the rest of the season from the Chiefs receiving core. It was a really crappy showing. And honestly, if you're a Chiefs fan, I think it's, probably better. It's a bit of a reality check. Realize there's some stiff competition in the league this year, and you're not just going to run through as you have in seasons past. But, I mean, overall, electric game, and huge Dan Campbell fan. Loved him since he was tight end coach in Miami, and way more excited about the Lions. Like, I think it says way more about them, the kind of ferocity they'll be playing with this season, and I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, someone who had some doubt about the Lions, right? I had to walk back those takes a little bit. Love that you're a fan of a tight end coach there, JC. That's some true Miami Dolphin fandom. Tyler, your takeaways from the opening night game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't take much away from that game. Detroit didn't look all that good, but they were able to steal the win. I think the game probably goes the other way if Kelsey and Chris Jones are on that field that night. I mean, the receivers, they were just absolutely terrible for KC. Nobody could really catch the ball. So in the end, it just kind of let Detroit hang around. They were able to get the run game going. And once that defensive line tired out for KC, you've seen them start to win it in the trenches. So I'm not as bullish on Detroit. I still think they're like right around where they were last year. I don't think they improved all that much. I hope they use more of Gibbs than what they gave him in game one because he did look good in the limited carries he got. But it'll be a fun race in that NFC North because a couple of those other teams look good. Green Bay, yeah, that was it because Minnesota lost their game to Tampa Bay, and we all know Chicago lost to Green Bay. But yeah, and then that's pretty much it for that game for me.
That's what I was going to ask. I said, man, like, because I understand not being too high on the Lions from your perspective, but I mean that division, I think it's very much up for grabs.
Yeah, that for sure.
Yeah, Green Bay looked pretty good, and let's not work this. We're going to get into, and it's going to be a theme here, right? Just like JC, you said, don't overreact to the Chiefs losing, right? They're not going 0-17. The season isn't over here. We're not going to overreact to some of these, but let's dive right into what we saw Sunday morning. The first game was the only game we lost on the morning slate, Tyler, which was a great way to get back. I don't even want to talk about college football and the beats I took there, Texas Tech. But let's go ahead and dive right in. The Commanders were not able to cover. They stayed alive for us in Survivor. They stayed alive for us on the teaser, but they did not cover the spread against the Arizona Cardinals. JC, your thoughts? Sam Howell, is he legit? Is this Commanders team legit? Are the Cardinals better than we thought, or are the Commanders just not very good? What do we take away from the Commanders and the Cardinals?
I don't take away much of anything. I mean, Washington won, right? Like I'm not going to knock them too much for only beating the Cardinals by 4. Everyone, it's believed that the Cardinals are tanking this season, and there's no reason to think otherwise. I don't detract from the win, right, for Washington, but I don't know any more about them. Their defense looked pretty solid, but again, it's going up against that Arizona offense. They're playing in a tough division. So, I mean, this starting off the season against the Cardinals, they had to win if they wanted to even have a chance. Like, that's a game when you're going to play in such a tough division that you need to win. So no big takeaways from me on either team because, you could say, hey, the Cardinals look tough, but then they could come out next week and just get rolled. And it's like, okay, they are who we thought they were. And same with Washington, they have some promise this year, but ultimately they could come out flat. And Sam Howell, great start, but, nothing to write home about, nothing to indicate that he's going to be a franchise quarterback.
Tyler, watching the sports book is great, as me, health conscious, just having my sparkling water and coffee, but it gets distracting with everything that's going on. People are cheering. You don't even know what TV to look at. I think Sam Howell was the guy that I really wanted to see in that performance. And I'll be honest, I don't have much of a takeaway because I don't really feel like I got a good view of him. Were you able to watch that game with a better eye than I? And Sam Howell, what do we think? Is he going to be legit, or are we disappointed by that performance? What are our takeaways?
No, I mean, I think he was all right. He made some early mistakes. I mean, he's basically still a rookie. He only got to play that one game last year. So this is second start. Their offensive line looked absolutely terrible. Arizona was able to get after him almost every play. So if Arizona was able to do that, just think of what some of these other teams will get to him. He's mobile, though, so he'll be able to run away. We've seen him run for a touchdown. And he just made the young quarterback mistakes that let Arizona hang around in that game. So not much to take away from that game, like JC says. But Washington was able to still cover the teasers for us to keep us alive in Survivor. Just made it a little sweatier than anybody wanted it to be.
Yeah, they did, and they had a chance there to go ahead and cover that spread. They weren't able to get it done. Josh Dobbs gets 132 yards for the Cardinals through the air. So interesting to see how it goes. Not a huge game offensively, and 7 of those 8 morning games went under, including the Atlanta Falcons, who defeated the Carolina Panthers 24-10. I know the Panthers were popular preseason. This was one of the ones that I felt that the preseason actually helped us, because on some of it, I think it gave us more noise than signal. But we knew this Panthers offensive line was going to struggle from watching in the preseason, and it felt like that came to fruition. Atlanta puts up 24 points. For everyone who's in love with fantasy, Algier got all the red zone looks, which didn't personally surprise me, which is why I was surprised that Bijan was going so high in the drafts over guys like Tony Pollard and Saquon. But that's neither here nor there as the Falcons get the win. JC, your thoughts? I mean, Panthers are going to get this together and be a solid team, right? But it could be a rough first 5 or 6 weeks. That's kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was for a loss about as good, of a game as you could hope for Carolina. Like, despite losing, Carolina fans will have plenty to be encouraged about. I thought Young looked really solid out there. I mean, throwing the ball 38 times. It's glad to know they're just going to let him sling. And I think that's kind of what we've seen with rookie quarterbacks. You kind of saw it with Lawrence in his rookie year, that it's like, man, just let them throw. Let them. It's okay that only threw, one TD and 2 interceptions. Like, get those out of your system, get the experience. Don't try to limit him and let him work up. Like, just get the garbage out of the way now. Let him work through it. Surrendering 24 points to the Falcons a little embarrassing. Like, the defense definitely needs a little bit of work, but I'd be excited about the future as a Panthers fan. I think Young really could be something special. I'm not gonna bet the house on him yet, but compared to maybe other rookie quarterbacks that played yesterday, I thought Young showed a lot of promise.
Yeah, and we're going to be discussing all of those rookies, including one that made me put my foot in my mouth. But for now, we're going to continue to talk about Bryce Young. Tyler, I thought that it was overall an encouraging performance, but with the line that bad, I don't know what he's supposed to do. He's not kind of a create-your-own-play guy like Anthony Richardson who can make things happen when the pocket breaks down. So disappointing performance from the Panthers, but not necessarily unexpected. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, young quarterback making mistakes. He made the same mistake on both interceptions, so it's just going to take time. Their offensive line's bad. And, I mean, the Falcons are what we thought they were. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. Drake London, I think he had 8 targets, no catches, no receiving yards. Kyle Pitts, same thing. Neither of those guys did anything. It was all the running backs, and that's pretty much what Atlanta football is going to be. So don't take much away from that game either from them. Just 2 bad teams playing each other.
All right, and that will be the key in the NFC South for most of the season. But the Falcons get to 1-0. Panthers have a tough loss. We'll see how these teams do next week.
How much of
Browns.
How much of a leash do you think they're going to give Ritter?
What's the other option, though?
Heineke.
I think he's got. If that's the other option,
I think he could get into the situation that the guy behind you was in. Remember when Fitzpatrick, they sat him for Tua, and it was like, oh, we're maybe a playoff team, and then Tua started to slide down a little bit. It's like, go back to the veteran. If Atlanta looks like they can make a playoff push and he starts to fall off, I think you could see them go to the vet.
Is anyone high on Ritter? Like, does anyone actually think he's...
I don't think he's any good.
I mean, I know he's played like 5-6 games now at this point, but I just, feels more...
Not an interception at home yet, so I think he's going to just continue to get the run. I think he's the better option.
Like, I have more faith in Trey Lance than I do Desmond Ritter for their future in the NFL.
Well, Ritter actually plays games. Like, what's Trey Lance going to do for you?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if my team, needed a quarterback, I'd probably rather take a chance on Lance than Ritter.
Okay, that's you, because I would rather have Ritter. I mean, I don't know what's Trey Lance going to do for me. I mean, come on.
What do you think, Tyler?
I'm probably taking Trey Lance.
Oh my gosh!
Just the athletic ability, the running ability. If he could just put it together and get on the field, I think he could be a way better player than Ritter.
He's like Tim Tebow without the experience and success.
Ritter's like best situation or best outcome would be like, oh, he's Jimmy G.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from, Brett. It's just that I think we know what Ritter's ceiling is, and we have no clue what it is with Lance. So it's more of a gamble, and I'd rather take that chance than go for a guy who seems like mediocre is going to be his ceiling.
What a surprise. The guy on a gambling podcast that's a professional gambler for a living wants to take a gamble. No, I mean, I guess I agree with you there. So we both agree that Ritter's ceiling is low. But what were they going to do? And this division is so bad, they're not going to – well, dude, I heard there's so many quarterbacks coming out this year. I mean, I heard even the 3rd and 4th rounds.
This might be the best quarterback class like ever
of all time. Yeah. And maybe not at the top with the first couple players, maybe, but they're saying the depth in this class is something that we've never seen before.
I mean, has ESPN and these other websites stopped blowing Caleb Williams yet? Because they're saying he's generational talent. So the guys at the top are supposed to be that good.
So to be fair, I signed up for YouTube TV. Now that I have VSiN, I've not watched ESPN once. VSiN now to me is like what ESPN was like 20 years ago. You can just leave it on all day. It's like so sweet.
What is?
So if you get YouTube TV,
Yeah,
and
I have
you
it.
get the extra channel for the Red Zone and Tennis Channel, you get VSiN, Vegas Sports Information Network, and it's just
Okay.
like Gil
Okay.
Alexander and those guys all day just talking spreads. Oh, dude, it's like ESPN used to be. You can just leave it on all day.
Okay, I'll check
And
it out.
there's no heartwarming stories about someone else. You know, I mean, it's just how to make money, right? It's not
No
like
outside
this guy
the lines
overcame
type stuff.
cancer. Yeah, this guy overcame a terrible childhood. You know, I mean, those are all great stories, and if you like that, more power to you. But I just want the information to make money.
Hey, great disclaimer there, Spread, because I was getting ready to roast you.
Go ahead, roast me. I mean, I know that.
No, you put the disclaimer out there. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll save the roasting for this next game. And Joe Burrow was the one getting roasted as the Cleveland Browns and noted weirdo Deshaun Watson just absolutely destroy the Bengals 24-3. Another under, Tyler. We should just trusted the model. But here we go. Let's go to you, JC. I didn't really know what to make of this game. There's so many that I said I'm going to have to rewatch this week when I get home and the Game Pass, and you can watch the game in 20 minutes. Was Deshaun Watson that good?
No. I mean, what did he score? I mean, they got up 24 points, but still, it was the Bengals were just that terrible. This was my biggest L on the day. My strategy going into week one is you want to bet every game. Like, I'm not going to do that. Week one, find the gems. Double unit them, and this was the one L I took. Just like last season, absolutely should have seen it coming. Burrow out most of preseason, just didn't have a chance to really get in rhythm with his guys. Again, nothing to be concerned about. If you're a Bengals fan, might take a couple more weeks. I mean, it might be just like last season. Like they might start 0-4 and then rip it off. But I'm not any higher on the Browns. Defense looked pretty good. I will give them that. But Deshaun, I mean, it was he had so much time in the pocket, and he still just crappy throws. I didn't think he looked good at all. Not saying their season's over, or I'm saying they're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but nothing to get too high about if you're a Cleveland fan.
Yeah, Tyler, Cleveland, a team we weren't too high on. Is it time to rethink our position, or is that just going to be a typical week one overreaction? And is this team still right in the middle of the pack?
No, I mean, I think their defense looked really good. Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett are going to be a bitch to deal with for any team. So they're going to get some pressure on the quarterbacks. Burrow not having any practice in the preseason or anything due to the calf injury, the contract dispute. I mean, he just looked rusty, and he did it last year. They're going to start slow, but they're going to rip off wins eventually. I'm not as bullish on Cleveland, but it was a rainy game. I think Watson could look better in better environments, but it's just a wait and see. But the defense is definitely there for Cleveland. Nick Chubb could still run the ball. It could be an interesting AFC North.
Oh, it's definitely going to be interesting for sure, as those are some hard-hitting teams. Not necessarily surprised the Bengals lost. Am surprised that they lost in that fashion. It's another one, though. I don't really want to downgrade the Bengals off it, right? Things didn't go their way. Tough division opponent on the road. They started pretty bad last season as well, and we saw how that turned out. And we know that Burrow is not getting paid for his performance in September. He's getting paid for his performance in January. So I think we're going to true that out. Okay, so Twatty, I got to clarify. It's not that I hate heartwarming stories. But if my choices are, right, a heartwarming story or another network like breaking down like offensive linemen who I'm not aware of and haven't been studying and who's out and who's in and how that should affect the way we approach it, like that's just what I'm more interested in. So, yeah, all right, there we go. Let's keep it moving. Moving on from the Browns, who won 24-3. The Ravens covered against the Houston Texans 25-9. The fade rookie quarterbacks was in full effect yesterday, as the Texans can't cover that 10-point spread. I don't really know what to make of this one. Texans offensive line is so bad. I don't know if the Ravens pass rush is really that good, or they win against one of the most beat up units in the league. I did like some of the stuff I saw from Lamar Jackson in the new offense. It looks like it might work out well. He has a skill set to take care of that stuff. J.K. Dobbins out for the year. As just bettors, I don't know if that affects our handicap that much for fantasy players. Obviously, that's huge news. And I don't know if I would run to pick up these backups. I still think it's going to be a little bit more by committee as of next year. But Ravens spanked the Texans 25-9. I don't have a lot to take away from this, JC. It's what I expected. The Ravens are bullies. If anything, I'm just surprised that it was even this close. Should I be worried that they only put 25 points up against it? Is this early season getting the offense going? What did you take away from the Ravens win?
Yeah, I mean, didn't really get to watch this one, but when I was going over the box score, it's interesting. It's similar to the Browns, like Browns and Commanders. No reason to overreact to Baltimore only putting up 25. Still a good showing. Biggest takeaway for me, man, was Stroud throwing the ball 44 times. Like, despite that crappy O-line, despite the defense Baltimore's playing with, he was able to get off 44 passes. They're clearly just letting it rip. No TDs or interceptions, which is crazy when you're throwing that many times. But it's been an interesting team to watch. I definitely think from a fantasy perspective, Stroud's going to be a guy to keep an eye on, because if he keeps throwing like this, eventually some of those are going to fall into the right hands and he's going to bring in some points. Definitely it'll be interesting to see how he develops and if, he can be productive passing that many times in a game.
Tough way to start your career on the road in Baltimore with an offensive line that was just completely beat up. So I still do think that the Texans are on the right track. That was a tough opener. Tyler, I want to talk a little bit more about the Ravens, the Texans, whatever. That was a bad situation for them, and they didn't exceed expectations. But we were already pretty low on them, so it's not like we're going to downgrade them. What do we make of the Baltimore performance?
Yeah, I mean, they're in a new offense, so it's going to take some time. You've seen that in the first half. They really didn't pull away. And then they were able to pull away in the second half. They're going to have to throw the ball more unless they go out and get some running backs. I don't think Justice Hill and Melvin Gordon are going to be your answers in 2023. So Zay Flowers looked good in his first game. He looked real shifty when they'd get him the ball in space. So he could be one of those rookies that could vie for Rookie of the Year, because nobody really made a stance for that in week one. And as for their defense, I mean, I don't take much away from it. Worst offensive line in the league. The Steelers traded Kendrick Green there to play center, and he's just undersized to play line in the NFL. He shouldn't be there. They had to start him in week one after trading for him. That shows you how beat up they are. They got pressure on almost every play. Stroud was running for his life. Looks like that's how it's going to be for him for the year. But I got to see the Ravens play a real team before we get any real opinions on them.
All right. Yeah, and that was the biggest takeaway is how's Lamar going to look in this new offense? So far, so good. But as Tyler said, we're going to reserve making a complete judgment until we see him against a better defense. DB Gnarly talking about local Houston sports talk. DB, let me take this chance to throw a quick plug out there. 5-Star and the Wagering World, moved to ESPN 97.5. It's going to be on Friday night at 7 p.m., DB. So if you get a chance, check that out and let your friends know. It's pretty fun being on terrestrial radio. I know for the kids, all they care about is YouTube. But for an older guy like me, it's pretty cool. So ESPN 97.5, Friday night, Wagering World. Check it out, DB. Give us any feedback if you can. We're going to move on. The Jaguars, this was a close one, man. We covered this one. We took the Jags. I was fading all the rookie quarterbacks. But I think we have a lot to talk about here. Number one, we were lucky to cover. We were very lucky to cover. They were down there. They were ready to push it. Richardson got a little beat up on a play. They brought in Minshew for the last couple. That was kind of a tough situation for him to come in cold in a red zone situation. But overall, my takeaways was I was not a believer in Anthony Richardson. I thought he was going to be like 11 for 27 in this first game. The running, we knew it was going to be there. But, boy, did he look good. Let's get credit to Steichen for calling plays that I believe kind of hid some of his inabilities and his flaws, right? A lot of one read and go. But he made it work. He looked way better than I expected. And I thought this Colts team was going to be in for a rough season. Looks like they might have found their guy at QB. I know we don't want to take away too much from this week one, But for a guy that I expected to be like woefully inaccurate, I thought he did a good job of delivering the ball to his receivers. JC, this was a game that I probably had the most attention on. It was a lot of fun just because, of course, we wanted Richardson. I had that Jaguar spread, and we wanted to see how Trevor Lawrence looked in his second year. I thought, for a loss, the Colts have to feel pretty good. And I also think the Jaguars have to feel pretty good about not playing their best level of football and getting the win. What are your thoughts, JC?
Yeah, I thought Jacksonville looked really good. I was not as high on them as everyone was coming into this season. I did not think they were going to run away with the AFC South, but man, Lawrence looks sharp. He just looks more comfortable in the pocket. He looks more experienced. Definitely a impressive progression from him in the offseason. It just wasn't flashy. He just got the job done. And that's what you got to do. And this is definitely my overreaction for week one, is how good I think the Jaguars are going to be based on Lawrence's play. He really impressed me. As for the Colts, solid showing. I think it's kind of the difference of whether or not takeaway on the Colts side will just come down to whether or not you were high or low on Richardson coming into the season. I honestly expected him to be pretty solid. If I had to pick, I didn't think he was getting enough shine. I thought he'd be pretty solid. I'm not going to say he thought he was going to be the best rookie quarterback of this draft, at least in the first year.
If you would have said that like on a preseason show, I would have laughed at you. That he'll be the best, like for the careers, right?
Yeah, I think there's a chance he will be.
1 week, and I know we're not supposed to overreact, but now I think it's a legitimate possibility.
Yeah,
he could be the best.
No,
class.
How much did you guys watch this game?
A lot. I had most of my attention.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
I was just constantly flipping between this and then the Cleveland game.
I just wanted to make sure, because a lot of those passes, just like you said, Spread, they were just kind of spoon-fed to them.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at.
Fine.
Is as someone who was high on Richardson, I wasn't blown away. I wasn't super impressed. It was a decent game.
But in preseason, he was missing some of those easy throws, which is why
True.
I was really like, this guy. I thought the Jaguars were going to win by like 20. I thought they were going to only have like 6 points total.
I think that was just us overrating the Jags defense. I think that unit is going to be terrible.
You think so?
Yeah. I think the overreaction bet this week is everyone's going to watch that offense for the Jags, and they're going to be like, KC coming off the stinker versus Detroit. The Jags can beat them, and KC's going to run all over that defense.
It depends if they got their boys back.
I don't even think they need them. I think Richie James carves that defense up.
You know what? I'll tell you. I'll just take the over. I'll just stay away
that's
from the spread.
definitely the bet, but I'll be on KC in that game.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have more on the Colts? Because I thought
it was
the most. I thought we could take more out from that game than most of the other ones, which is probably
for sure. Like I said, if you're like the Colts fan that were excited for Richardson, I think you're kind of just status quo after that game. It was solid. Didn't look like a world beater. Good play. Definitely kind of eager to see what he'll do next week. I think
Tyler,
they got like
give me
Texans.
a little more breakdown of that game.
Yeah, there wasn't. I think you guys touched on everything pretty much in that game. At the end, he did have a good running game. He had the long touchdown, and just like our guy Johnny Nelson said in the chat, Calvin Ridley showed up week one, showed he's the best receiver in that room. He wants to get paid in the offseason. He told Christian Kirk, "You're gonna have to sit in the passenger seat for this season because I am wide receiver one." I think Kirk had one catch for 9 yards. He looked terrible. But Ridley, he carved that defense up. They didn't really have any good corners, but he was wide open on plays. And just like you said, JC, some of those throws by Lawrence were just absolute dimes. He would drop them in where the corner's fingertips are almost on the ball, and it falls right over top of them, right into the receiver's hands. So they're definitely going to be a force on offense, but that defense, man, I think they're going to have some problems this year. They're going to win high-scoring games, but at the same time, they're going to have some teams hang some high scores on them that when they ultimately lose those games.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll have any problem taking that division based on what we saw.
Yeah, Tennessee didn't look all that good.
Yeah, we'll get into that one. We are talking touchdowns. live on the Sports Tag Network. Guys, give us the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. JC, one thing that Tyler and I were surprised about. Hey, okay, the Steelers lost. Okay, that's not that crazy, but they got dominated. The fact that that game wasn't close, that was the teaser that I did lose. Right, Tyler? We had the Commanders Packers one that was great. The Steelers Packers one was not so great. And JC, I'm surprised that Pittsburgh looked that bad. Another idea of like, what's the point of watching preseason? Almost feels like we got a bunch of bad. The only take that I feel like really carried over was that the Panthers offensive line sucked, right? And that the Texans was kind of beat up. A lot of our preseason preconceptions, though, did not come to fruition. And this Pittsburgh Steelers being ready to go and offense looking better was definitely one of them. Our guy Deontay Johnson had a pulled hamstring too, Tyler. That couldn't have helped, but I don't really think it made a difference at the end of the day. 49ers look good. JC, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, this didn't surprise me. I'm sorry, Tyler. I pretty much figured Pittsburgh would be at the bottom of that division just based on some stiff competition. I'm not anti Kenny Pickett. I knew, they could probably still maybe get 7 or 8 wins this season. But I was very low on them coming to the season, and I kind of got what I expected. I didn't think it'd be that ugly, but we knew San Francisco was going to be dominant, and that's what they came out there and did. They just destroyed Pittsburgh.
You knew. We didn't because we liked Pittsburgh in that game.
I don't know
why.
We
also didn't think Bosa was going to be on the field. Neither did we think Kittle was going to be there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
To be fair, we did that show before Bosa resigned the Wednesday.
But there's no need to panic as a Pittsburgh fan. Like, I think you just got beat pretty bad by one of the best teams in the league. That's nothing. You shouldn't have. I understand why you might have thought they'd have won coming into this, but when schedules were released, you weren't circling that as a win anyways. I don't think it's a huge deal. Running game was really weak for Pittsburgh, but again, that defense just stuffed them. So, I think you just got to shrug, take the L, move on to next week.
The tough thing for Pittsburgh, Tyler, is that quality of defense they're going to be seeing throughout their division. Now, to be fair, right, the 49ers are better than the Browns and the Ravens, and we know the Bengals defense will be better than they looked. But that's a tough defense, tough defenses to go against this season. Now, I know we don't want to overreact. How is the feeling in Pittsburgh, and what do you think we should do with these teams? Obviously, 49ers, we knew they were going to be good. We leave them right there. Do we downgrade Pittsburgh at all, or did we just throw this one out because they went against arguably the best defense in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think you throw a little bit of it out. I think the thing we overlooked was they run a lot of zone defense. And San Fran's offense is just perfectly built to just carve apart a zone. Ayuk was just wide open. Their corners looked absolutely terrible. They were able to get pressure on Purdy at points in that game. But again, San Fran's just so good across the board. The offensive line was able to keep him clean for parts of that game where he was just able to find the open guys. And it led to scores. McCaffrey had a big touchdown run. But the big thing is they lost Cam Hayward on the defensive line. He's now hurt. Deontay Johnson pulls a hammy. He's probably out at least a few weeks. The receivers behind him, Pickens was a ghost. He didn't do anything. I know that has part to do with Pickett just not being able to throw the ball for some reason after preseason when he looked good. Allen Robinson probably has to step in now, Calvin Austin. So the pass game's going to die just like the running game didn't look all that good. So this offense is going to come to a standstill. I just don't see where they go from here. But I feel like this is an overreaction on the line when you look at this Monday night line. They're plus 1.5 at home versus the Browns. They can't beat the Browns. I think they could make that a close game, but it'll be tough without the weapons.
All right, we'll be looking forward to that. And
I will not be teasing them. I will say that.
Yeah, and our guy, Matt Twatty Latte, says they did look amazing, and there's no arguments here. Let's keep it moving. One of the biggest surprises, and I'm sure it busted many parlays in the sportsbook I was kicking at. First of all, watching in the sportsbooks is not as fun as I remembered.
I don't like watching games at a bar or a sportsbook. Too many games.
You hear the stupidest stuff.
Yeah.
The stupidest stuff. I at some point I had to put these headphones on. Tyler's gonna love this, of course, blasting jazz music super loud, but I couldn't listen to these guys talk anymore. My two favorites from yesterday. The first one is the guy who's cheering for his team. Throw it. The ball's in the air. Catch it. I'm like, are you 4 years old? The second was the guy saying Justin Fields isn't man enough to be a quarterback, right? The nice overweight guy that's sitting there drinking beer, eating nachos, talking about Justin Fields, who's like 6'3", 230, and runs faster than I can even think of. I mean, some of the things that these guys do. Yeah. JC, are you a jersey guy? There's a lot of jerseys in the sports book. I think I've kind of grown out of wearing jerseys. Do you wear a jersey when you go out? Are you a
No,
jersey
I can't.
guy?
I'll wear one to a game.
To the game, you would?
I've thought about it. I've tried. I can't. I don't know. I feel like a jabroni if I'm wearing my jersey to like a bar or something.
Yeah. Tyler, you wear a jersey if you go out?
No jersey wearing for me.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe we're just too into the sports gambling game where we're not as attached to our local teams as the others. So, yeah, those are my tales from the sports book. But yeah, a lot of parlays were busted by these Vikings. A lot of swearing at the Buccaneers. And you guys called it. I was so high on the Vikings this offseason. I thought that was one of the biggest overreactions. A 13-win team being downgraded to 8.5 on the total without, like, if you lose your quarterback or something. But to me, I thought they got better with the new defensive coordinator. It was even the time slot that we like, right, Tyler? We can't blame the time of the day for Kirk Cousins. Baker Mayfield gets it done. Boy, if you had like Baker's like self-confidence in Kirk Cousins' body, maybe you'd have a good quarterback there, right? Because Baker just doesn't realize that he's not very good. He's not very athletic. The funniest thing was his rookie year, him trying to outrun those linemen. The linebackers like, bro, this ain't Oklahoma anymore. But your takeaways from the game, JC, you have to be happy if you're a Buccaneers fan. And boy, pretty disappointing for the Minnesota Vikings coming off a 13-win season.
Yeah, I got no clue what to make of this one. I mean, Buccaneers look way better than we expected. The Vikings didn't look great, but also too, all season last year, we said the Vikings are frauds. So coming into this year, I wasn't that high on them, but it's like, wasn't high on them all last year. Maybe they're going to do it again. I have no clue what to make of either of these teams. And I will, I don't know. I was going to say I'm going to stay away from betting them next week, but next week Vikings got the Eagles. I have no problem betting the Eagles on that one. And the Bucks got the Bears. I'd probably stay away from that one. Just weird. Just a weird game. I had no interest in it going into it. I completely faded that game on the slate just because I didn't think the Vikings were that good, but still shocked to see them lose.
Tyler, do I take my L on my Vikings optimism here, or would that be an overreaction?
Nah, I think you got to take your L, spread. I think you overreacted to a guy who's not even on the field.
Brian Flores, coaching matters.
You put way too much weight into that. They have no talent on the defensive side, and he's just blitzing guys who, when you don't have talent, you're just blitzing away. That's going to leave guys open, and even a guy like Baker Mayfield's going to be able to carve you apart. They did go to Justin Jefferson a ton in the first half. I think he had 130 receiving yards in the first half.
He had 2 targets in the second half.
Yeah, and then they just said, we're going to try something different, and just went away from him. It didn't work. They have no running game. Madison got 34 rushing yards. I know Tampa's run defense is pretty good, but I think this really Vikings team's going to have some trouble. Kirk Cousins threw that pick. Jefferson looked disgruntled, and he still didn't get his contract before the season started, so you could see that just flare up all season. I'd be worried as a Vikings fan, like our guy Johnny Nelson. And as for the Buccaneers, they're going to be a decent team as long as they stay healthy. They brought back everybody that was pretty much on the Super Bowl team, minus Tom Brady. They just plugged in Baker Mayfield. Giant the downgrade at the quarterback spot. But with the weapons around him, he can make it work. We've never really seen him with weapons like this since he's been in college. So as long as them guys are on the field, they're going to be a feisty team. minus 2.5 at home versus a Bears team that I think is one of the bottom 3. I'll be on the Bucs this week.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good matchup, and we'll be looking forward to it. So, congratulations to the Buccaneers, right? Our guy Kurt Jones had to be happy about that one.
Just for instance, let's look at division odds right now.
Okay.
Just for both of those divisions, because we both had, all three of us had different takes on these two divisions on who could win it. And the Lions are now minus 115 to win the North. The Packers jumped all the way up to second at plus 290. Vikings down to 4-1. You could still get Tampa at 6-1 to win the NFC South.
That's fantastic.
That is worth a bet.
I said that was the best bet. That's the only thing I can victory lap was I just said at the odds in such a terrible division, that Tampa was the best bet. Yep. Getting 6-1 on a division, you can make an argument for all 4 teams. Because like I said, we don't want to write the Panthers off. I know they're going to start slow. Couldn't you see this team being pretty good for the back stretch?
Yeah,
as
I think
gets
so.
better, this line gets better. Right?
I don't see them being good, but I see 7-8 wins taking that division.
Yeah. So my point is, you really can't write off anyone. So, when you have the opportunity to take Tampa at that number, if it's still 6-1, because I think when I gave it, I was only plus 660.
Yeah, they really didn't take much value off of them. I think it's still worth a bet.
I think it's a great bet.
Atlanta really didn't prove to me anything. They looked like the same old. They're going to run the ball and run this wacky offense. They could veer off at any moment. Yeah. And the Saints didn't look good at all either against a Titans defense. So
perfect segue. Let's jump into that one. The Saints get the 16-15 win. Was that the final score? Yeah, 16-15. Another game goes under. We had the Titans plus the points. That was nice, Tyler. Got lucky, though. Got lucky. It could have easily gone the other way, as the Saints were like on the 9-yard line when they kneeled it out. So, that was definitely one of those ones in the NFL where sometimes it just feels like blackjack when you're playing a side. But if you are on the Titans, right, you got the winner, and the dealer busted out there. My takeaway was, so we're talking about taking L's on our offseason takes. I mean, that Tannehill take. I mean, how much Tannehill do I have in best ball? Bro, he was terrible. Yeah, he missed so many wide open receivers. He looked like Anthony Richardson in preseason.
He had 2 wide open touchdowns that he just completely missed. They should have won this game by multiple scores, and they didn't.
Why would you be high on Tannehill?
At this point, right, it seems stupid, but he was top 5 statistically 2 years ago. He got DeAndre Hopkins, so he had his receiver that can basically make catches in coverage where he doesn't need separation, kind of like he had with A.J. Brown, a guy that he can throw the 50-50 balls to. I thought Treylon Burks would make a step working with Hopkins. It turned out to be the guy, Westbrook-Akine, that helped us cover it, as he was big on the drive that got them down there, from 16-12 to 16-15. But, yeah, you're right. I mean,
he's just been perfectly mediocre for like 10 years now. He is what he is.
But he's in a perfectly mediocre division. I mean, it's not like I'm taking him in the NFC North or the AFC West. I mean,
but to have him in best ball though, still no.
Dude, I was getting him in like round 18.
Oh, all right then.
He's my third quarterback, but I was
picking
him ahead of Ritter.
So his area on Tannehill then.
No, but his area was Ritter, Mac Jones, Tannehill, and Baker Mayfield, and I took Tannehill like 90% of the chance of the times. Like, I have so little Baker, so little Ritter. I don't even know if I drafted Mac Jones once.
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, because he's not a fantasy quarterback. Like, I think, we've talked about it before. I think New England, they'll cause trouble. They could be better, people think, but still, Mac Jones isn't going to light up the box score.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's go to you, JC. What do you take away from this game? The Saints got the win, but I was not impressed. I mean, once again, the calling card is that they're just going to play terrible competition all year. But boy, I didn't think Derek Carr looks good. Jonathan Nelson brought that up. I guess the defense, you could say they look good because they didn't give up a touchdown. But in reality, they did. Any other quarterback makes those throws. Right, even the guy Baker and Ritter would have made those throws, right? We're just like kind of talking down on those guys. Most of the guys that started yesterday make those throws. Tannehill failed to do it. So I don't even want to upgrade the Saints defense for just basically being lucky. That game was ugly, but it had a lot of my attention because it was close.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are two teams I don't think very much of. Both the teams and the quarterbacks, perfectly mediocre. They're not, no sparks are going to be flying for them this season. But, when you're that consistent, sometimes you can sneak out enough wins, get yourself a playoff berth. People thought Tennessee might be a dark horse in the division. Can't argue with that. A lot of people thought New Orleans would run away with that division. I didn't think that, as we discussed. It's just so weak. I just see it as that. Nothing crazy. I got nothing. It just, as expected, but I thought it might be a little bit higher scoring. Like I would expect it a close game, but maybe more in the, 20.
It should have gone over. I mean, they were moving the ball up and down the field.
Right.
But Derek Carr's always been crap in the red zone, which is why I was happy to see him go. Tyler, if like I said, we don't want to beat a dead horse. Maybe biggest fantasy takeaway there. Did you see Tyjae Spears had more snaps than Derrick Henry? It was in on third down set. So all those people grabbing Spears in the 13th, 14th round have to be pretty happy. What's your overall takeaways from that game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was more of just the way the game was flowing for them, the way they matched up with the defense. I don't think you see that all year. So I wouldn't take much away from that. And I mean, this game was just ugly, to be honest with you. It just low scoring. Neither offense really looked all that good. The defenses, they were able to capitalize on some turnovers. Tannehill threw 3 picks. We seen Derek Carr look bad. So just an ugly game with nothing really to come out of it.
All right. Yeah. Ugly game. You'd be happy if you had the under, but I would say, hey, you got lucky. Another ugly game, and this is the first of the afternoon slate. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Chicago Bears 38-20. Did it even feel that close? I mean, boy, what an absolute drubbing. I was down on Jordan Love, to be fair. I'm really down on the Bears defense, so I'm not ready to proclaim him the next Aaron Rodgers yet. But, boy, the Packers look good. And, Tyler, one thing, I took a couple L's here on this show so far. Let's go back and clip it when I said, how do the Packers have the same regular season win total as the Bears? Remember when we did the preview show? And I thought in my head, I was like, the Bears have to be 6.5, right? And they had the same one. It was unbelievable. So proving that one right as we're on the Packers over, Bears under. Great start for our regular season win total bets there that I made about 20 of. That was a lot of fun. We'll see how those turn out. But JC, your takeaways. I mean, are the Packers back? Is Jordan Love destined for the Hall of Fame?
No. No, I don't. I mean, this I think this will be another huge week 1 overreaction game. I mean, if you looked at the box score, you would not think Green Bay put up 38 points. I mean, granted, they have, one defensive touchdown?
I think so. I mean,
yeah.
I kind of
they had a pick six.
Neck and neck with the Broncos during this game.
So, but still, it just the stats did not reflect the team that put up nearly 40 points. Great showing. I mean, certainly reason to be excited if you're a Packers fan, but I don't, the legacy of great quarterbacks is not cemented yet for Green Bay. It'll be interesting to see, if Love can just do it again. But I was not blown away by his performance. And I also wasn't, I'm not going to sit here and crap on Justin Fields. I mean, not his best work, but again, no reason to overreact. It's the Packers, those division games.
I mean, I think we kind of can. It's kind of a lot of the things that we've talked about with Fields before, being more of an athlete than a pure quarterback. He has the arm talent, but is he able to make the reads? And it didn't look like that yesterday. Now, the Packers do have one of the better pass defenses in the league, and maybe the Bears screwed up by not attacking that run because it felt like they were running the ball fairly effectively when they got a chance. But credit to Jordan Love and that offense for jumping out to the lead and kind of making them into a one-dimensional team. Tyler, are you ready to overreact? Are we ready to crown the Green Bay Packers NFC North champions? What's going on?
I'm not going to say they're champions, but they're definitely the second best team in that division, way ahead of the Vikings. The Bears are in the dumps. Detroit's offense, if it keeps moving like it does, they could be right where they were at last year, where the last matchup they have between these two decides the division. So their defense looked great. It was against a terrible quarterback in Justin Fields, who I tried to remind everybody in the offseason that this guy is not going to be the quarterback that takes that leap forward. That would be Trevor Lawrence, and it looked like that in week 1. He still stares down his receivers. His offensive line's still terrible. They're throwing screens to Chase Claypool, who's a terrible receiver. DJ Moore, non-existent. They thought he was going to be
Fields,
the
DJ Moore stacks when you're grabbing them at the 3-4 turn.
Yeah, good luck with those.
You're in hell right
Might as well
now.
just burn that money right now because it's already gone. Like, this team still sucks. They're going to pick top 5 in this draft coming up. I just don't see it with this team.
I mean, so again, the thing is, like, it's a divisional game. Green Bay always owns Chicago, so there's that. So I think next week is huge, playing the Bucks. If he looks poor there, which he might, because we just saw a pretty impressive performance from Tampa Bay, then maybe we start to write him off. But it really only gets worse because week 3 they got the Chiefs.
Here's what happens next week, JC. You could see it from a mile away with just the way that their offense flows. They're gonna want to run the hell out of the ball next week, and they're going against a complete 180 of a defense. Tampa Bay's run defense, absolutely solid. You're not running the ball against them. So it's going to force Justin Fields to throw the ball. And even against a mediocre pass defense, he's going to stare down DJ Moore, and he's going to throw multiple picks against this defense and leave Baker chances to put a ton of points on the board.
Look, I mean, if they lose to the Bucks and then they got to go play the Chiefs, like, check on your friends if there's Bears fans, because they were so high on this season and like they were so
I don't know
excited.
why. I don't know why.
Because the progression
they got one
saw,
wide receiver.
because of the progression Fields showed
The defense still sucks.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying Bears fans were high on Fields and kind of thought like this is the year he puts it together. So I feel really bad. I feel really bad.
Bears fans should have been high up some pre-rolls and some edibles instead.
After one game, here's my overreaction for you guys. CJ Stroud's a better quarterback than Justin Fields in the NFL.
Well, I don't think that's an overreaction.
Like, a little overreaction. I like
Fields
it.
Fields might be able to run the ball better. Yeah, but
Stroud is better in the pocket.
Could you imagine what a disastrous game would come for Chicago if they made Justin Fields throw the ball 44 times?
It might be coming here.
Yeah, I mean, how many times would he just be throwing it, at a receiver's feet?
They just got an update. Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward diagnosed with groin injury, expected to miss multiple weeks. We might be flip-flopping. We might be on the Browns this week, fellas.
No, that's not good, Tyler. That's not good. All right. Enough Bears and Justin Fields slander. I'm sure that if you turn into any NFL podcast or your local radio station, you can find more of that if we didn't fulfill
and
your
then
bill.
Just to touch on Green Bay spread, they have an intriguing matchup this week. They play Atlanta, a team that's just going to want to run the ball. That could be a weird one. And looking at the total, it's 40.5. I feel like that's pretty low for this game. I think you could see a lot of points.
Packers are only favored by 1.
Where's it being played? It's being played in Atlanta, so it'll be inside the dome. No weather.
Hammer Green Bay.
I don't know. That's a bad matchup for him, though.
That's like the worst matchup outside of San
against a team that just wants to run the ball over and over again, right into their weakness.
I'm hammering Green Bay.
All right, JC loves them.
I'll probably be on Green Bay also, but I'd rather be on the over.
Tyler, if it wasn't for the Steelers and the Giants, this would probably be the most disappointing result of week 1. Okay, first of all, the Seahawks shouldn't have even lost to the Rams if they were to be as good as their fan base was to lead us to believe. But they lost 30-13. You got to be kidding me.
They made Puka Nacua look like Cooper Kupp. That just tells you how bad this defense is.
Bro.
This team's in for some trouble.
No, but Carroll always turns his defenses around. He's a teacher.
Yeah, well,
I'm not ready to write them off.
Tell him to go turn around Geno Smith and get that contract back from him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that letter got lost in the mail when he didn't write back. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. JC, so disappointed. You know I'm a Seahawks guy. What?
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Seahawks.
Okay.
You know me. I have no problems rooting for multiple teams.
Yeah, we're well aware of that spread. Well aware of
that. Hey, it makes your life more fun. Be positive. I don't want to hate on 31 teams. I got to choose other teams to root for.
That's fine.
but that wasn't fun rooting for them on Sunday. What a terrible performance. What do we make of this?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I wasn't that high on Geno. I kind of thought, last year might have been a flash in the pan, but woof. I mean, LA was a team that would be a bottom 5 team. So I really thought Seattle would roll. But man, they made them look foolish. Stafford looked great. And despite even not having Cup, I mean, that was the worst thing. I thought Seattle was going to hammer them just because no Cup, like they don't stand a chance. But it was just embarrassing for the Seahawks. Again, 2 teams I didn't have a bold prediction on, so I'm not going to overreact. I don't have any stronger feelings on them going into week 2. I don't know who they play, but just weird, just one of those ones. Every week there are a few dogs that pull off the upset, and that was one of them. Was that indicative of the season or just one of those Sundays? I don't know. Maybe Tyler does.
Your thoughts?
It could have been one of those Sundays, but I mean, man, they looked bad. I know the one corner they drafted was hurt and he didn't play in this game. So once getting him back could help fix this team. But I mean, they moved the ball with a bunch of gadget receivers and a rookie that they drafted late, stepping into their main wide receiver's role, who's the main motor of this offense. They were able to run the ball very well with Karen Williams, too. He scored 2 touchdowns. And surprise, surprise, everyone thought Cam Akers was going to just step into this quote-unquote
not me. No shares there.
Yeah, it's like he's just not that guy, and Sean McVay just does weird stuff with the running back position. This looked like the Stafford that they traded for a couple years ago that won the Super Bowl. And to be honest, if they can stay healthy, this is another team. If they're healthy, they're probably the second best team in the NFC West. They could probably pass up Seattle, but they're not going to catch San Francisco. And they're 1 injury away from being the 3rd or 4th best team in that division. So they just got to stay healthy, which is going to be hard in the sport of football. I could see Seattle bouncing back this week. They play Detroit. That could be a game. It's going to be a shootout, and they could win that game. But the Rams, just keep an eye on their health. As long as they're healthy, I would stay away from fading that team. They get upset you a lot.
Yeah, Rams definitely made.
And they're in the same spot that Seattle was in last year. Everyone counted them out. Everyone told us they sucked. Everyone said they can't name a guy on the defense. And then all these guys come into the season motivated. They want to make a name for themselves. So they're a team I'd watch out for.
Yeah, let's see how that team goes continuing on. But, boy, if one thing Stafford got going for him, if he's used to playing with the bad offensive line and a bunch of garbage receivers, right, those years in Detroit.
Back at home.
Yeah. Oh, I see my guy Clyde in the chat. What is up, guys? Everybody hit that thumbs up. Let's keep it going. JC, the Las Vegas Raiders, in first place in the AFC West. Stop the count. What a wonderful Sunday for us Raiders fans as we get the win. Boy, Jimmy G just keeps doing it, right? The most important stat in all of football, the win column. He gets it done. Man, what a great game. Are you excited as I am? Are you as inspired as I am, JC?
I got to be honest. I'm completely neutral when it comes to the Raiders. It is hard not to root for Jimmy G, though. I mean, that dude, solid quarterback, but he's still no one wants to give him a home. He's a homeless quarterback, and he just continues to get the job done. Yeah, I mean, great start. You kind of hope for a little bit more against, a Denver team that people are a little low on. But as you said, a win's a win. And there's always a chance the Broncos are going to be better than we think. And like you said, can't discount a win, especially a divisional win in a very tough AFC West.
Tyler, we got the win against the tough Denver Broncos defense. I think Russ is washed, though. I know he had good stats. Watching the game, all he was really making was those underneath throws that Peyton designed for him. I don't think there's any quarterback in the league that couldn't have made those, well, except for Tannehill. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's washed. I think it's keep an eye on that because they're going to pull him for Stidham at some point.
Yeah.
As for the Raiders, I mean, it's interesting to see how their offense looks now that Jacoby Myers was sent to the upside down in that game. He was completely knocked out on the field. Dude was just staring through the wall when they put the camera on his face. Devontae Adams didn't look all that good. Josh Jacobs didn't look all that good either. I thought Jimmy G was already broken in half about 5 minutes into the game when they ran the ball and got hit, and then they had to put Brian Hoyer in. So it's just they're another team. Fully healthy, they could probably win 8-9 games. But they got a lot of guys out there that look like they're made of glass. So they're already down one receiver. The quarterback already got banged up in game one. The running back we know could be injury prone. Just a team that I want nothing to do with. But at full health, getting points, they could be a problem for teams. Denver's defense looked pretty good, but, I mean, outside of Surtain, they really don't have much in the secondary. They lost a guy, too, looked like he tore his ACL, was carted off. I'm not big on Denver, not big on the Raiders. It's just the fight for who's going to push each other into the last spot in the NFC South.
You're going to be big on the Raiders as this season continues. I have Allegiant Stadium in my background. You see it over there looking so good, ready to host a fun game against the Buffalo Bills next week, who we'll be talking about later this evening. But JC, that's not all the bragging we get to do here on this panel, as the man behind you, Tua, broke the slate in daily fantasy. Tyreek Hill had one of the biggest games possible. I actually started Mark Andrews in one of my leagues, but I had Tyreek, so I won, even with no points. I didn't switch him out. Talk to me about your Miami Dolphins. They got the big win against the Chargers, and I'd say the most aesthetically pleasing game of all of yesterday. A lot of points, great colors on the field. I like the colors schemes for both those teams. Really a lot of fun to watch there, and a lot of fun, too, for me to cash that Miami ticket. Talk to me about your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins.
We should probably talk to Tyler first, because if you let me rip on the Dolphins, we're going to be 30 minutes on this game. So, I'll let him start, and then I'll clean
Tyler,
up
you start, and then you can
miss.
piggyback on whatever he did.
I'm just going to go to what I've said for multiple teams. Fully healthy, this team, of all the teams we talked about, is probably a top 3 offense, maybe, and they're not 2 or 3 when they're fully healthy. Like, Tua moves the ball. He just finds Tyreek Hill in space. Tyreek Hill just uncoverable as a wide receiver in Mike McDaniel schemes. Waddle, you have to respect him too. They used a lot of Durham Smythe out of the tight end spot. Mostert looked good running the ball too. And their defense didn't look all that bad. I know they gave up a ton of points, but this Charger offense is going to be potent. Tua for comeback player of the year spread before Sunday, 20-1. Now, 7-1. DeMar Hamlin ain't playing tonight. He's going to be inactive. He's probably inactive a lot of these weeks as long as these safeties ahead of him are playing. Tua is going to win comeback player of the year as long as he can stay on the field, and he jumped up to tie MVP odds after 1 week. Love the bet on FanDuel because it's way better odds. Most receiving yards in the season, you could still get Tyreek Hill at 5-1. Jefferson's still ahead of him in odds when we've seen Kirk Cousins shut off in the second half. I think you could see that for whole games at times. And as long as Tua is healthy, Tyreek Hill is going to eclipse 100 yards almost every game, and you've seen him go for 200 in that game. So love that bet. This team's going to be a problem as long as healthy, and if they roll into the playoffs with Tua under center, bet them to win the Super Bowl because they can make some noise.
Okay. Tyler, really high on the Dolphins, and how can you not be after that performance yesterday? JC, what did you want to add?
Yeah, just beautiful. Just a beautiful performance. If you watched our AFC East preview show, I said if this team is healthy, Super Bowl or bust. My best bet was Tyreek Hill. I believe 10-plus TDs on the season. He had 2 yesterday, so we're well on our way. It was just exactly what you wanted to see. Tua looked great. Clyde, you're wrong. I mean, the Chargers secondary was all over these receivers. That's what was great. Tua was not afraid to throw into the teeth of the D, as Collinsworth would say. He was getting after it, making those throws. Wasn't completing all of them, but wasn't shying away from trying to thread the needle. Getting the yards in the air, getting the yards after the catch. It was incredible. I told you Barrios was going to get involved in the action. He was. And
I want everyone to see this fantastic background.
And I'll give some shine to the Chargers too, though, because like I said, their secondary was incredible. They got a lot to be excited about, and Herbert looked strong. I mean, put up 34 points. I don't know if we need to be concerned about Miami's defense or not, because you don't really want to give up that many points. But still, I mean, just an incredible showing. I mean, it's the stats were insane. The box scores were off the chart. In my lifetime, I've never been this excited about a Miami team. And I'm getting chills just talking about it, how good they look. I've never enjoyed watching my team play football this much. This is uncharted territory for me, and I'm so glad y'all are here to come along on this journey with me.
That was great. Fantastic work there. Fantastic background. Tyler, I'm going to throw it to you for this next one. The Philadelphia Eagles looked like they were on their way to stomping the poor Patriots, but Belichick said not so fast, almost backdoor covered that thing. I guess maybe if you got it at a certain time, you could have cashed with the Eagles if you with the Patriots, if you played it in like June or something. But boy, what I thought was just going to be just a blowout ended up being a close game. What were your takeaways from the Patriots?
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots, they were able to get some offense going with the new offensive coordinator. You've seen Kendrick Bourne catch 2 touchdowns, so they're going to make whatever receivers work up there for Mac Jones. But it was almost like Philly just kind of took their foot off the gas before they even got the offense going. Like, they had a pick 6. They got the 1 touchdown to Smith, and then it was just like, all right, we're up 16-0. We'll just coast from here. New England was able to fight back. Eagles went down and scored again, but then Patriots almost stole the game after a late 4th down conversion that didn't work for Philly. I'm not as bullish on New England. Like, I don't expect them to win many games this year with just the talent they have. And I don't think Bill Belichick's the big scary coach that everyone used to think he is. Like, I'll be fading him again this week versus Miami. I think Tua and those guys -2 going up there, I think they can crush that defense. So not much for the Patriots. And I think the Eagles turn it on this week against your guy spread, Brian Flores. That defense is going to be in for a rough one versus Philly on Thursday night.
Oh, wow. Got to slander my guy Flores there. Yeah, I didn't really know what to take away from this game, JC. What I did take away was watching the sports book is weird. At the very end of that game, there's a guy in the Eagles jersey just screaming at a guy in a Patriots shirt who was way bigger than him, right? No, he didn't catch the ball. He's out of bounds. And I'm like, wow, am I going to see someone get melted right here? Like, that dude does not look happy. Regardless, the Philadelphia Eagles get it done. What do we take away from this game? If anything, I kind of felt that really it was just meaningless. Like, as far as like adjusting our priors, like I didn't want to adjust either team really.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Bill Belichick effect. It's just, they're just scrappy. They never go away. And I hate them. I hate them so much. You just, bad man Tom Brady finally went away, but still, like, you just can't count out the Patriots, and that's what we're doing all season. Is they're just they're there to cause upsets, and you know what? If they can't pull off the win, they will certainly pick up the win at the spread. And if they don't destroy your team, they'll destroy your bets. So definitely just stay away from the Patriots this year.
All right. Is that it? No, we have Sunday night game. I was asleep by the second quarter. I left the sports book at 26-0.
You got that. I mean, there's nothing to say here. The Giants' offense looked bad. It's just like what we said, spread. It's like where'd they improve at really in the offseason from last year when they overachieved? And Dallas,
Waller was supposed to be the idea, but
well, he looks like a wide receiver out there, which I mean, I know he's more of a pass catching tight end, but he came into the game with a hamstring injury. He was already limited. They have no other pass options. And Dallas came into that game, 10-1 against the Giants in their last 11 matchups, and they put it on him and just absolutely dominated. Daniel Jones couldn't do anything. He didn't look all that good. I wanted to call 911 last night and report a robbery in the city of New York because Daniel Jones stole $160 million from the Giants, and they should probably get that money back and hope to get a quarterback in this upcoming draft.
Do you agree with that take? Is Daniel Jones on the hook for theft? What do you think, JC?
I don't know what to make of this game. I mean, again, kind of like the Vikings. We all knew the Giants were frauds last year. And, I mean, this was way worse. 0. Shutout.
Is there any other team that made the playoffs last year that the Giants could have beat in round 1 other than luck boxing that Vikings matchup?
No, everyone knew it. We all it was 2 teams who absolutely deserved to be knocked out in the first round, and they just by God's will, got matched up against each other. But Dak looked terrible. I mean, again, it's kind of similar to the Green Bay game. You look at the box score, and it's like, how did they come up with 40 points?
Well, their defense scores twice. That's why I don't think the whole Dak looked terrible narrative, you could really play it here. Because by the time he even had to throw the ball,
that's true.
They were up 20 points.
That's
so
true.
It's like, do I really want to try and take shots and chances and try and thread the needle here, or just throw it at the guy's feet and just be done with the drive? Like, we're already at 3 possessions.
Yeah, no doubt. Just ugly. But I think it says way more about the Giants than it does the Cowboys.
All right, and we'll see. One thing is that teams coming off those huge blowout losses are 63% against the spread in week 2. So
I mean, they get the Cardinals if they can't bounce back right here.
They're laying points on the road, right, against a team that looked pretty tough week 1.
-4.5. But I mean, do we really consider them tough when they scored on a scoop and score? Like, pressured one of the worst O-lines in football. Like, the Giants' offensive line looked like it was probably bottom 3 last night. They were also probably playing one of the best pass rushes. I could see them turning around and keeping Daniel Jones clean against an Arizona team, who everyone's going to overreact to them getting pressure on Sam Howell when that offensive line's terrible.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, we'll be breaking all those games down next Sunday morning on this channel. We also do a Wednesday show with Meg on FanSpeak and the Wagering World, which I mentioned on 97.5, the game in Houston, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Guys, hit a thumbs up on this video. I know we went long today on the recap, but it was week 1, so we wanted to touch on every team. We'll streamline this as the season continues. Certain teams, we don't have a takeaway. We'll just skip their game altogether, right? By week 10 last year, Tyler, we're doing 8 of the 16 games because some of them we just really didn't have adjustments to make. But we did want to touch on every team this week as the NFL kickoff weekend is about to conclude tonight, JC, with a game that I absolutely love from a betting perspective. But I'm worried after watching a road favorite smash on primetime last night. Can it happen again? I personally like the Buffalo Bills. I didn't think Aaron Rodgers was that good this season, and I think he's too old. I think Tom Brady has people confused. I don't think you're supposed to be an elite-level athlete at age 39, and just because Brady did it, people think these other guys are going to do it. I don't know if that's going to happen. I also think Buffalo's being undervalued because they looked poor in the loss against Cincinnati, but they had so much surrounding that team. I think they come back full strength. If I wish the Giants would have won last night, I would have felt better about taking a road favorite tonight. But does the same thing happen? Is it going to be a road favorite smash tonight, JC? Or am I underlooking the Jets?
No, absolutely. It's going to be ugly. I mean, especially at 2 points, you can't turn down 2 points. We talked about it, very low on the Jets, but more importantly, even if the Jets are good, it's going to take them a few weeks. I think we could see them struggle out the gate and then maybe turn things around. But I don't see any reason people should hesitate on taking the Bills -2.
Tyler, I love the Bills. Do you agree with me here, or do you think that I'm overlooking this New York team that was featured on Hard Knocks?
No, I mean, I think the Jets start out slow. I mean, we've seen just Rodgers as a quarterback start off slow the last couple of years, even in Green Bay. They were smashed in week 1 the last 2 years by the Saints and by the Vikings. I don't think they get smashed here just due to how good the defense is for the Jets. I think it's just an uglier game. Sauce covering Diggs could just make things for Buffalo's offense a little harder. And I think they just dink and dunk with James Cook a lot and kick some field goals. So lean towards the under, but I'm going to take a page out of our guy JJ's book. The same game parlays on DK. Why not just take the Bills plus 7.5 and knock the total up and go under 49.5? And you get a -110 there. I love that bet. I don't think we see many points, and I think the Bills win. And if they do lose, I think it's a closer scoring game. So I don't think they lose the game by more than a touchdown.
Definitely was an under full weekend so far. So Tyler likes the under continue. Tyler, I had a question in the chat earlier for Knox or Kincaid in the flex tonight if you're building a lineup. I like Kincaid, even though I think he'll have a smaller snap share. It's just I think he'll have more targets. So I personally like Kincaid a little more. Do you have any thoughts on that, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kincaid is on the field more. I'm on the opposite side of you than that because they said they're going to use him in the slot a little bit. So you could see him run routes out of there. But it's one of those things, like everyone's going to go with the new rookie tight end too. Could you see they get close to the goal line, they run it once or twice, Damian Harris can't get in, Josh Allen gets stuffed. Then they run a play action and the tight end standing wide open just so happens to be Dawson Knox. Like it could happen. And if you want to jam the guys up top, he's a lot cheaper. So, I mean, I don't hate either tight end guy here in a game where I don't think you see many touchdowns. So if they snag one of them, it could be the winner.
JC, you've been excellent at props the last NFL season, and we expect you to keep that going this season and tonight. I know you've taken a look at the board. Do you have a favorite prop play for the people tonight?
Man, it's a tough one just because I agree with Tyler, and I think the unders is the way to go. I just don't think we're going to see, the shootout that people might be expecting. And so while like all of last season, Josh Allen's passing props, I mean, that was almost straight money. I'm not confident in it this week. So instead, I'm going to take his rushing prop. I still think he's going to use his legs.
Okay.
Josh Allen over 38.5 rushing yards, paying out -110.
I like that pick a lot. Josh Allen, of course, we know the short yardage back in Buffalo last season.
I got a prop for you. You could
Perfect. I was just about to ask. How'd you know?
On DraftKings, you could do the head-to-head player props.
Oh,
You go into that tab. They also offer totals. There's a passing yard total, so you combine both quarterbacks. 493.5 passing yards in this game. Give me the under.
Under.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow, that's bold.
Both guys have to be good for you to be there.
Yep. If one guy's not good, one guy's not throwing for 500 yards. If Josh Allen throws for 300 and they win 45 to say 10, Rodgers probably puts up like a $170.
Yeah. And if they're up by that much, you could see a lot of running too.
Yep.
Let's take a look at a couple comments here. I like Jets to shock the world. They're 2.5-point dogs. This is not shocking the world, Clyde. A lot of people like the Jets. Like, let's save the shock the world. And I don't think people in Paris care too much about this game tonight. I could be wrong. If you're in Paris, let me know. Andrew, I would love to know why. So Andrew Gardner said,
don't overthink it, Andrew. Don't overthink it.
Leaning Jets. Why? What made you change your mind?
He's overthinking it.
Yeah, we learned that. Like, don't think that just because we see some good preseason performances from Kenny Pickett, right, that we should adjust our priors. So I'd love to know the difference. Any other plays for tonight's game, JC? Any bold predictions?
Yeah, sure. I will just say real quick to Andrew, I think the thing too that people are discounting is it's the Bills. So even if you think the Jets are going to be good this year, even if you think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out great, like even if it was Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, it's still the Bills. And in the regular season, the Bills are like the best team. So it's put that aside. Getting the Bills -2 against anyone, I think, is a gift. So that's why it's a lock. My play for this one, aside from just taking that easy bet, I like the alt spread. I like Buffalo -6.5, paying out 2-1.
All right, JC seems another primetime blowout. Anything more from you on this game, Tyler, or was there like anything like from yesterday that you wanted to touch on that maybe I didn't ask?
Just one more play from this game. I'm just double checking odds to make sure we're getting the best of
Fire,
it.
let's go.
Damian Harris anytime touchdown +320 on FanDuel. If they get into that 5-yard line, close to the end zone, you're probably going to see him trot onto the field and James Cook trot off the field. He's the better in between the tackles runners. The only thing that could screw us here is they run like a little RPO and Josh Allen keeps it and just runs it in himself. But you could bet Josh Allen at +180 or you can get Damian Harris at +320. I'm going to take a shot on a running back who I know could pound it into the end zone if they get him down there. So give me that +320.
What about Knox +420?
I don't mind that either. I'm probably also going to take a shot on Harris to score the first touchdown of the game. You're getting that at 16-1.
Gross. You play first touchdown props?
Just for a fun. I don't
Bro,
bet
that market's crazy.
It is, and like I hate it because you bet it and they don't score first, but then they do score, and then you're just kicking yourself.
The way I usually bet them, just because it's never like a profitable bet. Like you don't give out first touchdowns thinking they're just going to be like,
Sure.
I'm going to hit these at a high rate.
Yeah.
I usually take one unit, split it 4 ways on the game, and 2 guys from each side. Because then it makes that first little bit of the game interesting. It's like, oh, they're close to the end zone. Is this going to go to my guy? Usually take some long shots there too, to where that quarter of a unit can win you maybe a whole unit.
All right, fair enough.
Tyler, do you remember the first touchdown bet I gave out on the show on Fanspeak?
You hit him on Ross St. Brown at 10-1.
That's right, at 10-1 to start my season. So, JC, don't be so quick to criticize.
Hey, Brad, stop now. Just 10-1. That's phenomenal.
Stop now. Like when I go on a blackjack heater. All right. Hey, Andrew answered our question. Let's go ahead and read it out. So Andrew says, I think yesterday kind of sobered me up. All right, I was in Vegas. That wasn't happening for me. Assume Bills will be exactly what we saw last year. Now I'm more worried that anything can happen in week 1. Well, I'd say anything can happen any week. Think Aaron Rodgers is better than Allen, too. That's the main takeaway I had from this comment.
No.
How? Not maybe better career, but not at this point.
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen is a legitimate MVP candidate, and Aaron Rodgers could be towards the end of the road. So let's see how much, sitting in the dark and taking mushrooms and all that stuff helps him out. Does he make me eat my words tonight? We will find out. JC, we're going to go to you for the words of wisdom. But before I close this out, because might be the last chance I get to say it, Raiders, first place, AFC West. You love to see it. Tops in the division, JC. Stop the count. Stop the count. Boy, if the season was over right now, I couldn't be happier. JC, you're going to take us out of here, though. Words of wisdom for the people with your beautiful Tua background.
Never forget, man. Never forget week 1 when the Raiders were in first place. And more importantly, 9/11. Never forget, take advantage of your loved ones. Let them know you love them, because you never know when something crazy is going to happen. Shout out to all of New York's finest. It's their day. Never forget.
You going to end it for us, Tyler? I was counting on you. Hit the thumbs up. He just took himself off the screen. All right, guys.
That was the worst 9/11 tribute ever. I'm so sorry.
It was. We apologize. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hit the thumbs up. We will be back next Sunday. I will be up in time, and see you soon.